Winning in today's market takes the right moves. Welcome to Elevate Your Business from Elevate Coaching at Guild Mortgage. In this episode, we show you how to generate leads without paying for them by building visibility, moving faster, and using smart systems. Let's get into it.
If you're sitting here thinking, I just need more leads, this episode is going to expose that real quick because today's guest is generating an average of 140 leads per month. And last month, he broke his record with 200 in leads. He's not buying them, he's driving them. I want to welcome Anthony Watson to our Elevate Your Business podcast. He's been in the industry 5 years and he's averaging about 10 loans per month. And so, Anthony, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Coach. It's definitely an honor. My branch manager raves about you, as everybody else in our culture does as well. So I'm just excited to be here, to be honest.
Well, we're excited to have you. I have been looking for you for a long time because what you're going to share with everybody is pretty incredible, and it is part of the future. So let's get right into the leads. Let's break this down. What are your actual sources that you're getting these leads from, and what are you doing on the daily to drive these leads?
Sources are virtually, well, they started out just word of mouth. As you said, like I don't pay for leads. I don't go to any of the sites for that to pay for them. It generally started organically. Word of mouth, connecting with realtors, connecting with friends, family. Once I started doing that and started to understand how I could use them to help build my platform, I started to reach out via social media. And that's where my business took over. It may be quadrupled from 2023 to 2024 to last year and to now, by virtually taking my branch manager's advice and having fun with it. So social media was a huge part of what I do as far as just getting word of mouth out there, and all that's free. So you don't have to really put a dollar into it. You just need to put a little time into it.
Let's tell everybody, let's talk about your journey into this industry. What were you doing previously, and how did you get in?
Yeah, I've been in sales all my life. From as far back as I can remember, as soon as I got out of the military, I started working at Dig Dyer Toyota. From there, I went to various call centers for sales. But prior to here, I was at AT&T for about 10 years virtually in sales. And I had a knack for sales. I love competition. I love to see how far I can push myself. So at the entire time I was at AT&T, I was more than likely number one every month. But that type of sales kind of got weary to me, and it kind of, burned me out. For doing it for over 10 years. It was kind of like, okay. But I still love the adventure of pushing myself. So from there, I actually moved to Lowe's, and I was assistant manager in selling appliances at Lowe's. One of my colleagues who was with me at AT&T actually is one of Lamont, my branch manager's number one realtors. So he reached out to her and said, "Hey, I'm looking to expand my team. Do you know anybody that may be interested in joining a team in the industry?" She said, "I got somebody for you." So she reached out to me because I was looking for more, and I got connected with my branch manager as his LOA. So I've been LOA for the first 2.5 years, and then became my own LO in 2023, late 2023. So that kind of began my getting my beak wet, learning from my branch manager, learning him. He was pretty much my mentor. I've never been in the industry, and this is by far the most challenging thing I've ever did in my life, but also the most rewarding because I get to help transition families' lives from point A to point B. And there's no better reward than that, than somebody saying, "Hey, thank you. You helped my family." So that kind of gives me my 5 years, and I'm still learning daily from my colleagues, and just being around everybody in the industry and learning from people like you of what to do, how to do it, how to elevate every step of the way.
I mean, did we all hear that in perspective? He has literally been out on his own since 2023. We're in the first quarter of 2026, and he's generating 140 leads per month. That's incredible. So, you did it. I'm sure, I know Lamont, he's one of our coaches at Elevate, and he
Yep.
trains and he coaches and he teaches. And from your sales background, obviously you understood how to build relationships.
Mhm.
So you went out and you started building relationships, getting your name out there. And then what transitioned you into social media? What got your interest in going that route? Because for a lot of people, they're unsure, or they don't want to put themselves out there, or it's a little bit scary for them.
As it was for me, but being in it for myself for like, when I first ended the year, because I got my license in the middle of the year. So between August to December was my first, year as an LO in 23, and having a conversation with him because to me, I thought I was doing everything I could. "Hey, it's a little slower than I anticipated. I gotta pick up the pace, but it's not clicking. Like, what can I do to really get myself out there or just have my personality into my business?" And that's when he broke it down, say, "Hey, you're digging too deep into what you want. You gotta loosen, you gotta have fun. You gotta put your personality into your business because people don't want your representative. They want you. You're the brand." So it clicked. So when he said to have fun with it, that's when I started going on my Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and letting people know what I do. Prior to that, it was just, scarcely every now and again going online. But when I started to let everybody know what I do and remind them, hey, I'm a loan officer. I'm here to help. You got questions? I got answers. That it took my business from the average $52,000 a year to tenfold. And I owe that to having fun with what you do, reminding people who you are, going out and doing the things that are kind of scary at first, but seeing you're just planting seeds. But social media is a great way to get out there. Between that and using the systems, it's turned business over for me tenfold.
What was scary in the beginning? Like, what were you fearful of?
Pretty much doing videos per se online, or just, I guess, the natural fear of rejection. Like we all have I don't say we all, but that's probably the most common fear in the industry is rejection. So going out there doing videos and maybe not getting responses or feeling like, okay, I'm doing everything I can, but I can't get the traction. That was the number one fear. Or going out there, possibly getting shunned or laughed at or whatnot. So that was the initial fear. But I had to say, look, hey, I have to be me. I have to go out there and just have fun and let the cards fall where they lay. And when I started doing that, I started taking little bits and pieces from other people that I saw online. I started just Googling online loan officers and videos and say, hey, you know what? I like that idea. Let me take a little piece of that and mix it up. Oh, I like what they're doing. Let me take a little bit and mix it up. And I started to make it my own to make it my Mr. A to Key.
And that's common. I think a lot of people have fear of rejection, or what are people going to say? I mean, it's the easiest way to create visibility really fast, by using social media. And like you said in the beginning, it's free, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's a great way to get out there and get to be known in your area with what you do. Now, having all those leads, 140 leads, last month, 203 leads, you got to have a system, because a lot of people, you know, they've got it on pieces of paper, they've got little, sticky notes and all of that. So, how are you managing that many leads?
Like you said, systems. I've grown to fully trust in, say, Salesforce, meaning when I started back when I first became my LO and I joined Elevate, one of my coaches I had was Coach Dima. I love her. She really helped open eyes to not writing things down because I have sticky pads of notes from clients. Got to do this, got to do that. And I told her that was one of my things I wanted to understand. How can I get away from that? And she said, you got to start using your system, your resources. Because why write all that down when you got the platform right here to be able to put it in a system to go back to it without having to use a sheet of paper. So I had to trust in doing that because it was tough. I mean, I love writing down so I can have it in front of me and just not forget. But what happens if the piece of paper, for whatever reason, you lose it? And that's what I had to condition my mind. Like, yeah, she's right. When I started using Salesforce fully, I could maneuver a lot faster than what I was. Because if I get applications and get them all hours of the night, I had to find a way to be able to do those applications fully and still keep my time without feeling overwhelmed or overloading my LOAs or things of that nature. So using Salesforce really helped me to manage and also master the system.
What is one of the things in the system that has given you some time back and has given you some freedom?
Surely just starting a lead, because once I figured out how to be able to complete a full application without having to waste a lot of time into the application, I could double and triple that. Example, um, when I was going for my first goal of, I think 190 leads for the month, I literally had 15 applications come through in a few hours. So I know I needed to get through all of them if I wanted to see how many leads I had before the end of the month. So I set a timer to see how long it took me to get through all 15 applications. My goal was to get through all 15 applications in 15 minutes, which I knew was impossible, but that's where my mind was. But all in all, I got through all 15 applications in 22 minutes. So when I relayed that to my branch manager and I told him, well, the goal was 15 minutes, he was like, are you nuts? Like, you did 15 applications in 22 minutes. Like, I've never seen that done before. And I'm thinking I failed because I was trying to reach my goal, but he's looking at it as, oh my God, you got to show us how you did that. So I started showing them what I was doing and how I was doing it. And the whole team is like, oh my God, like, we've been kind of doing it a slower pace. But when I say applications, I mean getting an application, going through it, looking at credit, seeing if they uploaded documents, sending out requests to get documents in, touching base with the agent, touching base with the client, requesting documents, attaching LOAs, whatever needs to be done. I can do that in a span of 60 seconds and move on to the next file. But if I wasn't using Salesforce in the way that it allows me to be faster, that wouldn't be possible.
So, and how many LOAs do you currently have?
Two. So me and Lamont share two LOAs.
You guys share two. What do you think is the cost of being slow?
Oh my goodness. It's nine. If you can convince your mind to be open to new avenues versus just keeping the same perspective, it'll elevate everything that you're doing. We all say it's not enough time in the day, or it's not enough. I wish we had more hours. Everybody has 24 hours in the day. You, me, Jeff Bezos, all the billion, we all got the same time. It's just about changing your perspective. When you change your perspective, 99% of your problems fix themselves. So when I started to figure that out, what can I do to be faster? Or what can I do to have this system work better for me? And then that's when it started clicking. Using these systems, having templates set up to where I don't have to type or write out every little thing that I'm doing for a client. I have it's crazy. I have an email template with about, I don't know, maybe 20 or so different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that template to go down and I plug and play. When I started doing that, it brought my time back. So that helped me to elevate to where I can do 10 applications in 10 minutes and still have time to do everything else. But it's all about utilizing that system to make it work for you.
Because you see a lot of loan officers as they grow, and leads go up, then they stop prospecting. And you kind of get into that roller coaster of your business where you have a big month, a low month, big month. So even with averaging 140 leads, you are still prospecting because you're still averaging that many loans. So the speed is important. obviously, to get through things and to be able to go prospect, but the consumer demands it as well, right? Our
Right.
agents and our consumer, if we don't get back to them quickly, they just have a lot of different choices out there.
And that was one of my things to help stay fast with that, because bringing in the business is one thing. How are you managing the business once you get it and keeping everybody satisfied to where you don't skip a beat? So that was a part of learning how to do that when I'm scaling business from the year prior and getting in position to where it's not, one, overwhelming, and two, my response time to everybody is hasn't fallen off. But that comes with utilizing the system. That comes with doing Tuesday updates and being able to get through them in the time frame of 30 minutes or an hour. But everybody is touched base with when that comes with using the system.
Right? Systems always win. So let's talk about your identity and your brand. So talk to us about how did you become Mr. A to Key?
We were in a team meeting one day, and this was years ago, and we were trying to. Well, Lamont brought up a question like, "How are you guys standing out?" He was asking each one of us LOs because at the time we were just, I was Anthony Watson, and we didn't have monikers, so it was like, he's right. Like, how would I separate myself from the next loan officer, or how would I get somebody to remember me? And I always would talk to my clients and say, "Hey, my goal is to take you from A to Key instead of A to Z, to keep it catchy." So when
I
they
like
would
it.
respond like, "Hey, I like that. Like, yeah, you're taking me from A to Key." And I thought, well, I need to, that needs to be me. Like, I need to call myself Mr. A to Key because my goal is to guide you from A to Key. When I started seeing the response, I started tagging that on my social media. I actually got business cards, but when I became my moniker, Mr. A to Key, I don't know if it'll show. I actually have my business cards made. They're metal. The reason is I wanted to stand out and be different. So you may not do business with me, like if I meet somebody in a grocery store, but if I hand you this card, you're not gonna lose this card because it's different. And that's how I treated my business. I wanted to just stay relevant and be a reminder. So now when I start my videos, it's hey guys, Mr. A to Key. Or I'll start it with, hey, do we have everybody? Is everybody he-" Something to catch the attention to let people know, hey, you know what? I forgot he does loans. So that's what started my Mr. A to Key. And ever since then, it gave me a sense of, I wanted to learn how to become a businessman. Now I'm learning how to become a business. And I honed that on, Mr. A to Key.
So, how important to our listeners is bringing your personality into social media?
Oh, it's very important. And I say that because nobody wants to be sold anything. Nobody wants to meet your representative. I have a really good colleague of mine who joined Guild around the same time I did, and he's in another office in Colombia. He asked, "What is it that he can do to make his videos on social media gain attention?" And at the time, it was more or less, you can tell he was probably reading, from the script, and he wasn't having fun. He wasn't loose. It was just, "Hey, let me tell you," and I had to tell him, people can see that. So the more you be you, people like mistakes. So be on a video and say, "Hey, I got," people like that. I don't want somebody that feels like it's an infomercial. I want to know people do business with people they like and they can trust. The last thing that leaves in a person's mind about you is how you make them feel. Somebody may forget your name, somebody may forget what you look like, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So when he got that in his mind, it was like, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. And now when he does his videos, it's smooth, it's fluent, but it's just about being authentically you. And you got to understand that you may not be fit for everybody. You may not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. But being yourself is what will keep you moving. Because besides, everybody else is taken. So it's best to be the best version of you can be, because authenticity is what sells. People like to see people being themselves. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, how much time do you spend doing your social media per week? And how many times do you post per week?
I generally get my ideas on the weekend of what I want to do throughout the week. So I may take a Saturday and Sunday and think of cool ideas or ways to grab people. I may spend, let's say, an hour on a Sunday thinking of different skits to do to be able to put them together. So when I get to the office Monday or wherever I'm doing it at, I'll already have it in my mind. But I try to post at least something informative on a Monday, like a video with products, things of that nature. And as I go throughout the week, ease it up and have fun. So by Friday, I may be doing a mortgage dad skit with with mortgage jokes just to keep people laughing and not giving them one thing all the time, but also staying relevant. So I try to make sure that and I got to get back to it, coach. I'll be honest, because I've been so all over the place lately. I haven't had time to really hone down and get back into my bag of making sure I post consistently, at least once a day, whether it be just celebrating somebody and saying, hey, Miss Jones just closed. Isn't that great? Who's next for home ownership in 2026? If you got questions, reach out to me. I have answers. Just something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be scripted. It doesn't have to be anything glossed over. Just something, just being authentic. So I may have posted twice today. Um, Anytime I get a contract, I'll post it just to let people know, hey, Miss such and such is under contract, to make people think that maybe I can be under contract too. I tell people all the time when I do my seminars or doing things for my agents, the hardest part about this business is convincing you this is for you. That's the hardest part. Once you understand that you could be a homeowner or you can get the information, everything else is easy.
It's true. There's a lot of people who just don't believe they can do it, right?
Correct.
And they need
Correct.
to be educated and they're afraid to ask, right? They're afraid to ask
Absolutely
those
correct.
questions because of that fear of no. So being able to be out there and and people see you and they see what you're doing and seeing how you're helping a lot of other families. Now they start considering, well, maybe he can help me.
Yep.
So do your leads come in, like, do they just DM you their information? Do they call you directly? How do those leads come from social media to you?
The social media leads usually come from, well, when I now I've known that I found out they're from social media most of the time from Loan Hub. When I go to look at the referral, 9 times out of 10, if it's social media, it'll say found you on TikTok or a realtor on TikTok. One of my realtors does the same thing as me, meaning we'll post on, for example, TikTok, and we will actually put our information at the bottom or say, hey, if you want to hear more, go to this link or call me, text me, keys, please. Something catchy that makes that gets them in the mind frame. Because if you see a phone number along with the video, 9 times out of 10, you feel more comfortable, like it's not a scam. So usually in Loan Hub, I'll see it say referred by TikTok. Saw you on TikTok, or saw you on Facebook, something of that nature. I do get inboxes, but not as much as them already doing the application. Because nowadays, when I guess a lot of people have seen it so much, it's like, okay, he's not a scam. So I'll get the applications more or less before I get a text or a call now, which is a good thing.
So as you're building this volume, and then there's more pressure, have you seen anything break yet in your system? Or is your system still working for that type of volume of leads?
It still works because before I even feel like it is a breaking point, I teach myself how to go green again. I teach myself how to go back to the basics. When I say green, we all know what it feels like when you first get a new career or when you first get a new job. You want to do everything by the books. You want to impress everybody you can. You want to make sure that you're noting it. You want to make sure that you're doing everything that you did to get the job, to keep the job. And sometimes over time, we lose sight of that. Like, we're human. Like, sometimes we need a refresher. So every quarter, I remind myself to go green. What that means is I keep the same formula that I started with. I keep the same notations. I do everything as when I first started. But as business started to grow and to scale, I just had to figure out a way to grow with it while using the same mixture. So my ingredients are the same now, but now I need to figure out how do I feed more people. So that became when I started to get faster and started to get to where I can make this seamless. So I didn't have to change anything I did. I just had to actually put the same ingredients in there, but put it in a bigger pot. Now instead of just 5 realtors I work with, I can reach out and feed 20 realtors. Same ingredients, same thing I'm doing, but I'm scaling it. So you don't have to search for a new pond all the time. Sometimes you just gotta throw it out deeper in the same pond. But it's worked for me, and then it doesn't feel overwhelming because now I know how to scale it.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of what you're doing is you are getting to the consumer first. And that's really, a huge goal that all of us can do. We relied, a lot on our realtor partners, which we still, those are great relationships that we have.
Mhm.
But getting to the consumer first and having the ability to do that is really, really powerful. I love this way of how you're moving your business and changing. And that's probably what's good about you, only being in the business 5 years versus someone who's been in the business 20 years, because it's sometimes hard to change old habits, right?
Correct.
But we have to
Correct.
continually learn and learn how to do things differently to create the same success. And I loved the other thing you said about going green. Like,
Hmm.
even if you were in the business 20, 25 years, what did you do in the beginning of your business to build momentum and to start building that success you had? And I
Yeah,
think the one thing that we can always rely on, right, is things are going to always change, right?
exactly. And
So we have to be
I had
willing
to
to.
differentiate the two between what works and what works consistently. I used to think, as long as I find a goal, as long as I can beat that loan officer, as long as I can do this, but that's just motivation. In this industry, if you want to stay above the game, you got to throw motivation out the window. It's about discipline. You have to have discipline. You got to do the things that you really don't like to do, but like you love them. You got to be consistent because motivation fades. Discipline is what it is. It's here. And in this industry, you got to have discipline be your shield and consistency be your sword. So that's how I look at it. If I can stay disciplined in doing what I've used to doing by going green, there's no way that I can fall backwards because I'm doing everything to go forward. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Discipline is always the foundation to me of success. And you're right. We talk about this in Elevate all the time. Really doesn't matter. I mean, you got to decide for you and your business what you want to do, right?
Right.
Um, but whatever you choose to do, you have to do it consistently. And I think sometimes people, when they don't get the results quick enough, fast enough, they stop, right? They're like, they go, that doesn't work. I'm going to try something else, right? Instead of just staying true to what you're doing and believe that over time, those actions, you're going to see the results.
Usain Bolt made one of the most famous statements that I stick by. He said, I trained for 4 years to run for 10 seconds. And people want to quit when they don't see the results they want after 1 month. And that was like, pow, like, oh my God, he's right.
It's
So
hugely powerful.
consistency and discipline is everything in this business because that's what got me to be able to trust and use Salesforce. Because when you hear it, it's like, oh my God, I got to notate it. No, it's like whenever you start to believe in that, it becomes second nature. It becomes repetitive. So now I don't know how not to notate files. I don't know how not to be detailed and oriented because that's the foundation of the business. But it took being able to believe that and trusting in the process. So I don't know what to. I got on my mobile phone. I do full applications from my phone. When we went to leadership, they laughed at me. Some of my colleagues. I took a full application and a pre-approval from the jet, 32,000 feet up. But guess what? We got a contract and we got them closed. But These are the things that I do to not miss an opportunity, because you're only one conversation away from changing your life, whatever that means to you, whether it be spiritually, monetarily, whatever the case is. So I don't want to miss a conversation. I don't want to miss an opportunity to help somebody.
Yeah, and I think also when we think back at the way our business has been, and it's been so manual, right? And
Mm,
very intensive with paperwork and just what you feel in your stomach when the phone rings. Like a couple weeks ago, I was in the airport. I had 10 minutes before I was boarding, and I got a call from a realtor. Hey, I need a pre approval letter. And by the way, they
mm,
need, two cost estimates. And initially I was like, "Oh, I gotta get my I gotta get my computer out, and I gotta wait till I get on the plane." And then I sat there and I'm like, "Why am I've got my app." You know what I mean? So I was able to go through my app through Salesforce, do my scenarios, did those 2 scenarios and a letter out in less than 5 minutes. And I was relaxed? Technology really helps us be able to respond quickly, right?
mhm,
But I also believe it gives us time back because we're not rushing
exactly.
around having to get home. Like I think we talked about earlier, you were in the movie theaters and you sent
Yeah.
out a pre-approval letter through your phone, right?
Yes. And that only took a few seconds versus risking, client going somewhere else or whatever the case is. But you're right. We have a lot of power from the fingertips of our phone that we didn't have the same access to 10 years ago. We couldn't do apps weren't what they are today. So the technology helps us to not only just do our career, but excel in it. We just got to be willing to use it. So I agree with you 100%. It makes my business a lot easier when I can do Salesforce from a phone or go into my key from a phone. Um, Aaron Gordon told me a long time ago, about a few years ago, he doesn't use his laptop when he goes on vacations and stuff. And I was afraid to not take my laptop because it's like, no, that's my business. I got to do everything from there. He said, you don't need that. When I learned that, he's right. So I go on vacations now just with my phone. I still have the business with me if need be.
So, last question. If someone's listening right now,
Mhm.
what is their first move to building up their leads like you have? What should they do?
Your first move, in my opinion, is to one, have more fun. That's the first rule because that's going to loosen you up. Have more fun and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. If you do everything you've always did, you're going to get the same results you've always gotten. No breakthrough has ever come from your comfort zone. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what I would say.
Love it.
Go on social. If you don't already have social media, just test the waters. Test it out. You don't even have to do something scary. Just go on social media. Let people know what it is you do. I do things as simple, coach, as saying, hey, and I kid you not, I will make a post that says, I am a loan originator. That's the post.
Yeah. So, if people want to see what you're doing, how do they find you? Where should they go? Should they go to TikTok? Should they go to Facebook?
My TikTok would be Mr. MR dot the letter A underscore TO underscore KEY. So Mr. A2 Key. On Facebook, it's a lot simpler. I'm just Anthony Aries Watson. But I do have content. So just look at some of my crazy, silly posts and say, hey, you know what? That's all right. That idea, if you could be comfortable being having a good time, it will change everything you're doing. But I also want to leave with them, coach. One of my favorite mantras that I also live by now. It's when it comes to your business, when it comes to your personal life, when it comes to anything that you can control, what you're not changing, you're choosing.
100%. I think, if you're listening out there, I know a lot of people are saying, I need more leads. But my question to you is, are you willing to do what you have to do to make changes to accomplish that goal? And, I think, Anthony, I think everyone should go look at your TikTok. And I want you guys to think about this. Think about what he said. when you're watching his TikTok. He's having fun and he's
Yeah.
being himself. And you may look at his TikTok and you go, oh my gosh, I can't do that, right? That's what a lot of people say. But you don't have to do that. You get to be you. You get to be authentic. You get to be who you want to be and how you want to show up for the people that are on social. So the
Mhm.
question is not, will you, but will you do this? Will you make some changes? Because absolutely the results are Anthony's been working on social media for a while and he's been averaging 140 leads per month. That is incredible. So, Anthony, I want to thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure to hear your story. We'll see you on the next podcast.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Coach.
Thanks for listening to Elevate Your Business, a podcast from Elevate, the internal coaching program at Guild Mortgage. Glad you could be here for today's playbook. If you want to check us out, head over to guildmortgage.com and click About Us to find Elevate Coaching. Have a question or want to keep the play going? Visit us and send a DM on Instagram at Elevate Mortgage Coaching, or leave a comment for us on YouTube. We're posting extra content, behind-the-scenes action, and everything you need to stay in the mortgage game. On Elevate Your Business, we share real stories and strategies from top producers to help you move forward. So ask yourself, what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate.
Guild Mortgage Company, Equal Housing Opportunity, Arizona Broker License Number 0018883, licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender License Number MC3274. Massachusetts Mortgage Broker License Number MC3274, licensed by the Mississippi Department of Banking and Consumer Finance, licensed by the New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance. Nevada Mortgage Company Number 1141, Oregon Mortgage Lender License Number 176, Rhode Island Licensed Lender, Rhode Island Licensed Third-Party Loan Servicer, Company NMLSID 3274. For licensing information, go to www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. All loans subject to underwriter approval. Terms and conditions apply, subject to change without notice. Guild Mortgage Company is an equal opportunity employer. Guild Mortgage Company 5887, Copley Drive, floors 13456, San Diego, California 92111. For more licensing information, please visit www.guildmortgage.com/licensing. Elevate is an internal Guild Mortgage Company coaching program and not a separate entity. Podcast content is provided for informational purposes and based on publicly available materials or tactics used in the industry. The views, strategies, or opinions discussed do not necessarily represent those of Guild Mortgage Company or its affiliates. Intended for mortgage industry professionals only. Not intended for public use or distribution. Volume and unit data from internal company metrics. Paula Nirschl, NMLS number 383396. Anthony Watson, NMLS number 2083986.
Thank you for joining us on Elevate Your Business, a podcast for mortgage professionals brought to you by Elevate, the internal coaching program at Guild Mortgage.